Today on Locked On Red Wings, strong performances, disappointing results.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's the host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News, while I am the color commentator for Oakland University D1 Hockey. Scotty, disappointing weekend in the world of hockey, at least if you're a Red Wings fans. But hey, Pistons won. That was nice. Pistons got a nice win. Cade Cunningham.
Having a pretty nice year. Cade's unreal, man.
Look at what happens when you have a coach who's not just phoning it in. It's crazy.
Dude, anyway.
Yeah.
Shout out Jaden Ivey. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Scotty, Red Wings played back-to-back nights, Friday in Toronto, Saturday at home against New York. And if I were to tell you that they lost both these games, which obviously you know, but if you were unaware and I were to tell you they lost both these games, you'd probably go, okay, par for the course. But if I were to tell you that they should have won one, if not both of these games, because in one of these games in particular, they were the better team, I think that would catch both of us by surprise. And that was kind of how it goes. And it was really a frustrating and yet encouraging weekend of hockey. And we'll get into all of that. But first, I got to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. So yeah, Scotty, 3-1 loss to the Toronto Maple Leafs, 4-0 loss to the New York Rangers. What is your first thought on how this weekend played out?
When are the stars gonna align? It was very frustrating, to be honest. Like, I was almost even like more frustrated with how the weekend actually played out as opposed to if they just got like punched in the mouth. Because all season we've been talking about, okay, they didn't look very good, but like they're around 500 and they got outplayed, but they won this game because of great goaltending and a power play goal. Like, that's pretty much been the recipe of success for them all year. It has just been have really good goaltending and score on special teams and do just enough to win. And like, they get caved in, they get significantly outplayed, albeit against, on paper, superior teams, but like they've been getting outplayed all year, whether win or lose. They've been getting outplayed for 60 minutes. And this weekend, like you said, I mean, you look at the final result and it's like, okay, they dropped 2 against 2 better teams. Like, that sucks. As I said on Friday's show, I really wanted them to go into the weekend and at least get 2 points. That was kind of like the bar. They didn't. And I think it's really frustrating because I know you agree, but like, I actually thought they looked the best they have on 5-on-5, at least in a long time, like maybe all year. I think that these were really close competitive games, and it was really disappointing for them to not get any result. And it's just like, they can't win. They like, not literally, again, they obviously have whatever it is, 5 or 6 wins on the year, but like if they get outplayed, they can somehow win a game. And then when they do really well and or at least better than they have, I'm not going to say they like dominated either of these games necessarily, but like when they keep pace with better rosters, they still lose. And it's just like, it's kind of like I just want to play hockey again. Like, I just want them to play again and go out there and see if this can translate into wins, I guess, is really my biggest takeaway, because I'm just kind of waiting for the stars to align.
Right. I think how I phrase it in the cold open is probably the way I look at it. And it's, of course, in line with what you're saying. Strong performances, disappointing results. I agree with you. Like, these were the best games I've seen the Red Wings play at 5-on-5, at least, all season long. Like, this is a game where finally they were able to get the puck, win the puck battle, transition up the ice, and establish offensive zone time. Now, The game against Toronto, that was a lot more toe-to-toe. That was a back-and-forth game, and if you look at it, the analytics agree. You know, it was a
toe-to-toe with Toronto, though. Like, that's...
Yeah.
What I would have begged.
That's what
for
you
that.
want,
right?
Right.
I would have begged for that on Friday. Like, make it a close, competitive game. Like, see if you can steal a point or two. It's just that in both of these games, they dropped them.
It was literally a 51-49 split between Corsi for percentage and between the Leafs and the Wings, and a 51-49% at expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. The Wings outshot the Toronto Maple Leafs by just 2, but they outshot their opponent for the first time. They're able to not just prevent the high danger opportunities.
They
of course,
outshot an opponent all year.
That I think it might be the second time they've done it.
I was gonna say, dude, I don't know. And that's a good hockey team. That's
right.
Even without Matthews,
really
I don't care.
Team.
Like, that's still a top of the division type of team.
Yeah, and so that's what's really frustrating. Like, obviously they gave up and that's what we'll talk about when we get into these games independently and together, is like lapses creating high danger opportunities against, but overall, like, they're very good at it. And then the game against New York, like you were saying, I don't know if I'd say they dominated. I would say they dominated the game against the New York Rangers, and they lost 4-0. Like, I imagine this is how the Nashville Predators fans felt after Cam Talbot shut them out on 42 shots. Like, the Red Wings legitimately were the best team on the ice against the New York Rangers by every single metric, no matter how you slice it. And they had 59% expected goals for percentage, 60% Corsi for percentage. The shots for percentage, the actual just shots on net, they had 60% of the total shots on net between the two teams at 5-on-5. And overall, they outshot them 37-24. The Red Wings took the team that won the President's Trophy winner last year and dominated them at 5-on-5 all game long and lost 4-0. So, like, I'm really, really encouraged by the results we saw this weekend in terms of on-ice, not production, but on-ice effort and on-ice systems. Because I imagine this is what Lalonde is talking about when he's talking about how defense can lead to offense. Of course, they score 1 goal in those combined games, but they had a lot of opportunities, and they just could not close the door. 3 posts against New York, Stolarz and Jonathan Quick playing out of their minds to prevent goals. Like, the Red Wings were just snake bitten, but they did everything right and everything that we had been asking of them, especially in that second game against the Rangers. They just couldn't bury the puck. And obviously there's things to work on too. You can see it on the show sheet, like the penalty kill, which we'll talk about. It continues to be a big reason why they lost these games and are losing games in general. But it was an incredibly encouraging weekend in terms of the play on the ice. And if they can play like that against the rest of the teams this month, they're going to win. They're going to win those games. But this was one of those PDO leveling games. Like, you won plenty of games earlier in the season already you should not have based on how they played. Well, it was about time you lose a game you probably deserve to win. They lost one, if not both of these games that they probably deserve to win, just because that's how hockey goes. So
yeah, man, I don't. It's tough. I don't know. I understand the encouraging aspect of it because, like, you are, they looked arguably the best they've looked in certainly a long time, if not on the season. And so, like, I get the encouraging aspect of it, but it's not as if they played perfect games, and it just feels like there's always something. Like, it just, I still worry about, like, if they can get everything to click for a while, then yeah, they're going to win some games. But like you talked about, I mean, the penalty kill is atrocious. It is an abomination. And so, like, that'll lose you a hockey game, man. Like, you can play better at 5-on-5 all you want, but if you're going to allow a goal literally every time your opponent is on the power play, you're not going to win too many games.
Well, I mean, I think that's a perfect transition into difference makers, right? Because I think we're both in agreement that special teams, in particular, penalty kill, was the big difference maker this weekend. I mean, you allowed 2 penalty kill goals, power play goals against Toronto, which made the difference. You lost 3-1, but that third goal was an empty net goal. You lost against New York, and what happened? I mean, you were dominating them. You take a penalty, 6 seconds into the penalty off the faceoff, they score the power play, and that's a huge deflating, that's like, there it is. That's that moment. The penalty kill continues to be one of the worst in the league, and I know I've been saying it for a week. It will get better because last year it was top 10, but now I'm starting to feel a little shaken on that because, like, maybe last year was the outlier and this is the reality. And if that's the case, then we have to take a serious look at who's running our penalty kill, and I think that's Bob Bugner. And maybe have a conversation about either changing the system or changing the coach.
Well, it's the
It's
reason
costing us
why,
games.
right? The reason why the kill is so frustrating to me is because it's the same coach in charge and largely the same personnel from last year when the kill was solid. And it's like, what happened? What occurred over the summer that has led a unit that is led by the same person and filled with almost entirely the same players to be this much worse than it was 6 months ago? I think that's the most frustrating part to me, is like they went 82 games with solid numbers with largely the same group.
Well, and weirdly, like, you would expect the power play to maybe take a step back, because last year one thing this team was really good at was scoring goals, and we lost a lot of goals in the offseason. So you'd be like, okay, the power play is going to take a step back, but we gained guys like Tyler Mott. Simon Edvinson is here. Raymond's playing a penalty kill role. So you would expect that penalty kill to then take a step forward, and it's the other way around. The power play is still top 10. It came into the game against New York Rangers, 7th in the league. Penalty kill was 30th. And they let up goals again. It's continuing to be the difference maker in all these games. If they can't figure out how to prevent goals on the penalty kill, and they had a couple good penalty kills, but it just takes one.
Right.
Like, it just takes one. Like, if they can't figure out how to prevent goals on the penalty kill, they're going to keep losing games they deserve to win. And
absolutely.
Right now, playing games you deserve to win was just like the bar we were asking for, because they were winning games they didn't deserve to win up until this point. And of course, now they do. And
you could really argue that they've only deserved to win like 1 or 2 games on the season.
Right. The Chicago game was a clear cut. Like, yeah, they were the better team and they should have been.
And then
outside of that, it's like
one of the 2 Nashville games, I think, probably. And that was pretty much
it. For about the first half of it. Yeah. I don't know. We're going to go to segment 2.
It's frustrating.
I got another difference maker for you guys. And then we'll go to notable performers. Stay tuned. Segment 2 of Locked On Red Wings coming up. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money action on sports. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. PrizePicks puts its members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I can get my money in as quickly as 15 minutes. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, LOCKEDONNHL is the code to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. Today's episode is also brought to you guys today by GameTime. They have a new feature called GameTime Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite games and teams play live even easier. GameTime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Curation makes it easier to save more on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and so much more using that GameTime Picks. And the all-in pricing toggle allows you to see the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. You can get a panoramic view from your seat before you buy inside the app using those seat views. And the GameTime ticket coverage will have you covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with GameTime Picks. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download GameTime today. What time is it? Game time. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. And my next difference maker, Scotty, is going to kind of fall in line with what we were talking about. Like, the flip side of the coin on the penalty kill was the lack of scoring at even strength. Because they did get one power play goal against Toronto. That was Dylan Larkin. He continues to play at an incredible pace, scoring tons of goals, assisted by Raymond and DeBrincat. So another assist for Raymond. So I think after the game against New York, he's just 1 point below point per game. Larkin leads the league in power play goals. That's something that's been clicking. It's the power play. But I said this before we started recording, and you were like, oh my gosh, you were right. The Red Wings have played one game in the last 4 where they've scored a 5-on-5 goal.
That's like humorous. Like that's comedy. That is absurd. They have scored a even strength goal in one of the last 4 games.
Yeah, and that was against Chicago where they scored multiple. But Buffalo, they won on 2 Dylan Larkin power play goals. The game against Toronto, the only goal they scored, a Dylan Larkin power play goal.
Shutout.
Then they got shut out. They got goalied pretty hard by Jonathan Quick. And I do want to say that out there again. Like, they played so well against New York, and that was what's really frustrating because by all accounts, they deserved to win that hockey game, but they kind of got goalied. And when it comes to talking about this, like, it kind of just goes back to what we were talking about in the past, that like some of the forwards on your team who you project to score just weren't scoring. And it's really hard to look at this game and say, like, because especially the Rangers game, right? Because that's freshest in my mind. Like, I'm watching that game and the Red Wings are doing everything right in the offensive zone. Like, I'm thinking about Jonathan Berggren's, the paddle save that Jonathan Quick made on him. Or when Tarasenko got in on tight and just shot it into the chest. Or the 3 posts they hit. That Seider hit a post, Larkin hit a post on the power play, and Patrick Kane hit the side of the post. It's just like they were doing everything right offensively in that game, but they couldn't score the goal. And so I don't know how much of this is just bad luck and how much of this is just poor finishing ability. Because you have a lot of players on this team who have finishing ability. Also, you have to have players like Lucas Raymond and Marco Kasper shoot the puck more. That's another thing that I'm really frustrated and tired of seeing is players pass up on shooting opportunities in the high slot to try to go to the side of the net for like a slam dunk backdoor. It's like if you have the puck on your stick and you have a lane to shoot the puck and at least create a rebound. I'm so tired of making that one extra pass, and I think that's part of it, right? They'll dominate, and they'll keep trying to make that one extra pass.
Oh, was that? Yeah, I agree. That was like a mid-sentence. I didn't realize that was the end of your thought there. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to a conversation we had a lot over the summer, man. Like, you let a lot of goals walk with the assumption that you were going to improve defensively. And games like this is where you look around and go, well, they looked pretty darn good most of the game. Again, aside from the penalty kill, which we already talked about, like they looked pretty darn good and no one could bury the puck. And it's those are the games where you would like to rely on Cat. And obviously he hasn't had like a bad start to the season or anything. He's been solid when it comes to goal scoring, but it's yeah, man, it's frustrating. I mean, you look down the lineup. When your back is against the wall and you go, okay, like we just need to find somebody to put the puck in the back of the net. Outside of Larkin, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure who that is.
Guys, there are 3 players on this hockey team who are consistently scoring goals for the Detroit Red Wings right now. It's Dylan Larkin on the power play with 9 goals, Alex DeBrincat with 6 goals, Andrew Kopp with 5 goals. 4 of which
and
are
all
either
of them are accidents, like
empty net or off his feet. He had the one
right.
redirection that was really nice. Like that's the thing, is like
true.
their finishing has just completely vanished, and we knew that would regress, right? They were scoring goals last year at an astonishing rate that they should not have been scoring. But like the regression that they've had, now I'm waiting for it to rebound back the other way and start to see them, like the third line again. Like we're talking about notable performers now. We've already talked about Larkin. He's been the captain. He's been phenomenal. But like that third line, how much more do they have to do to buy a goal? Like I mentioned the Berggren play. Kasper needs to shoot the puck more. Like he's been doing everything right. He's been winning possession. He's been setting up his teammates, but he also needs to shoot the puck more himself. Tarasenko with that line, I actually like Tarasenko with that line a lot because he brings a strong forecheck, checking presence that helps them win those possessions. And they just can't buy a goal. They're in the offensive zone the whole time, but they can't buy a goal. Like, I legitimately don't know what to say after these 2 games to be like, this is why they lost. Like, I think it's a combination of getting goalied and just their finishing ability having been non-existent.
Yeah, man. That's just kind of full circle back to the beginning of the episode where it's frustrating. Like everything is frustrating. It all just pisses me off. Like it's just like they get outplayed and they win, but they're around 500 and they look terrible. And then they finally look good and they drop 2 and they can't score. And it's just like, all right, dude. Like just can't buy a break. Well, that's not even true. Like they were buying breaks when they were winning games, when they were getting significantly outplayed. Like now it just, like I said at the very beginning, man, the stars just aren't aligning. Like nothing is just lining up perfectly to kind of go the Wings way. And I think that a lot of that falls back on coaching. And I know there's a big picture conversation that everybody wants to have, but like you gotta, when stuff isn't going your way, you gotta rely on coaching to get you through and weather that storm, right? Like, is there anybody that's a Lions fan that has a doubt that when stuff goes sideways, that Dan Campbell isn't still the man for the job? No. AJ Hinch? No. Like this is what coaches get paid to do. Like this is where you have to rely and lean on your coaching to kind of get you through these tough moments, and hopefully they come out on the other side still in the playoff mix.
Right. So again, just to beat that dead horse, man, like this was an incredibly encouraging weekend based on the play we saw on the ice, but the results are frustrating. Like they finally did everything we were asking them to do at 5-on-5, but they just couldn't find the back of the net. So again, if they continue to play like this, they're going to win more games than they're going to lose, and they're going to accomplish the November that I want them to. Like if at the start of the month, when we were doing the whole breakdown, like this was a game that I had marked down as like a probable loss. Same with Toronto. I would have been surprised, I think, as I said,
right.
It would have been a surprise.
Right. That's the other thing, right? That's a great point. Is like, how
you dominated the President's Trophy winner,
right? How mad are we that we didn't beat the Leafs and the Rangers on a back-to-back? Like none of it makes sense. It's all frustrating. Life is meaningless. Like what? Like what else? What else can I say? The time is a construct. Like just everything is nothing makes sense. Nothing's real.
Well, and here's the good news, Scotty. One, we're done playing the Rangers for the season.
No
more Rangers games.
Holy cow.
Two,
just for their goalies. No other reason. Just I'm tired of facing their goaltending.
You have a 4-game road trip coming up, which sounds a little scary at first.
Don't we do isn't West Coast Roadie? Isn't that what's coming up?
Yeah, so and the next 3 of those 4 games are against the Penguins, who I know beat you up on your home opener, but overall are pretty bad this year. Well, then you play in Anaheim, who's a bottom feeder. Then you play the Kings, who are a good team. So that's one of those games where I'd be surprised if you win.
Slow start, or did I make that up?
They're like 9-4-1 or something like that.
Okay. I definitely made that up then.
Well, they've lost 7 games combined, but regardless,
I was still thinking it was like the second week of the season when they did get off to us and they recovered and they're fine. Yeah, they're good young team, obviously.
And then you play the Sharks. So like, take this play, build off of it, and take it onto the road. And you'll come home probably 3-1. Play like this over the next 4 games. 3-1 is completely feasible and honestly expected with the opponents that you have.
Right.
And then
if you can prevent anything on the kill, would be great.
Precisely.
If we lose to like the Sharks or the Ducks and we have, expected goals of 80% and we just absolutely dominate, but the goalie stands on his head and the penalty kill allows 2 goals, I don't know what I'll do. I might get arrested.
All right, Scotty, we got to go to a quick break. When we return, I want to ask you if there's any specific players that stood out to you from this weekend. We've kind of talked a lot about the weekend as a whole because there were 2 games, so we're just kind of breaking down the games on a macro level, but let's go micro and talk about individual players before talking about Pavel Datsyuk. So stay tuned to segment 3 of Locked On Red Wings. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast. All right, Scotty. Any individual performances you want to highlight from either of these 2 games that stood out to you as either particularly good or particularly bad?
Yeah, I think. Well, did we even talk about Husso getting?
No, we have not.
Okay. Oh, I think that's probably worth a conversation. We can save that for the end if you'd prefer that.
We can do it. We can do it now. He played.
Yeah, I wasn't super inspired, but I didn't think he got, like blown off the ice either. I mean, the back-to-back goals was obviously brutal there against New York, but he gets recalled on what, emergency assignment for Lyon. So yeah, I mean, we'll see what the future of goaltending is for this team. This is something we've talked about at nauseum over the last month of the season, and I think that him returning again, it's emergency assignment. I don't think he's like taken over the job from either of the guys ahead of him on the depth chart currently. But I didn't think he looked terrible. I think they just have a really bad penalty kill.
Yeah. So the first 2 goals, I give him a pretty clear pass on. I mean, 6 seconds off the puck.
Yeah, the third one that happened 30 seconds after the second one, I agree.
Yeah, that was a short side shot between him and the post by Artemi Panarin, and like you can make the argument like, yeah, he had to come all the way across, but Panarin didn't fire that immediately.
Yeah.
Like he set and he aimed, like he had time to get over, and he didn't close the gap. And so I would say that third goal was like, oh, that was one he's gonna want back. And that was a real dagger. But at that point, like you were already down 2-0. I don't think he played particularly bad. I do think he'd want that third goal back. But like you, I wasn't like disappointed. I wasn't necessarily inspired.
Guess how many games have ever been won in the history of hockey where you score 0 goals?
Probably 0.
Right. So like but he didn't give up 8. Like, it's not like he was the reason they lost the game. They were in it, and the offense just couldn't do anything.
I do remember, though, there was a game back when Jimmy Howard was playing against the New York Rangers where both Lundqvist and Howard took a shutout to the shootout.
That did happen.
And the Red Wings lost on the shootout. So technically, the Rangers won that game without scoring a goal because no one gets awarded the goal.
Right. I guess.
I know. I'm being
annoying. On the back of the net, however many
technicality.
times you shootout, but yeah.
I was making a technicality to the rule, but your point is well taken. It is very true. As far as like other notable performers, like it's one of those weird things. Like the game against the Rangers, like everybody looked so good, except with the exception of like a lap, like that lapse that Jimmy Vesey's goal was really frustrating. What?
Jeff Petrie, healthy scratch.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. It was almost it needed to be done.
On Friday, I begged, and I was on my knees asking, what has to happen in the world, my hands to the sky, what has to happen for Jeff Petrie to and Ben Sherratt to not be on the second pair together? And immediately turn around, and he's healthy scratch. They look pretty darn good without him on the ice. I'm not saying that it's 100% his responsibility or he's 100% the reason why the team looks so much better at 5-on-5. But I mean, objectively, he gets healthy and the team immediately looked a lot better at even strength. So
Scotty fell to his knees in the Walmart.
I did in a Walmart. And then someone else saw me fall on my knees in a Walmart.
After that Chicago game, we talked about it. That was a game in which the Red Wings played particularly. They all played very well, with the exception of that second pair. The second pair somehow managed to still get caved in that game. And Petrie made a couple of his boneheaded pinch led to a 2-on-1, and then he abandoned the guy back door, led to the goal against.
Right,
and then he got his pocket picked by Connor Bedard, and so he needed to be scratched. And so Jocelyn Holl on the second pair, I thought he was fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
What is the bar for second pair at this point? I think it's pretty much that. I think it's pretty much just I didn't hate it. Right.
That's the bar. Outside of that, I mean, it's hard to pick out of all these 2 games. It's hard to pick out individual performances that we haven't already mentioned. Larkin continues to be a killer. I mean,
pretty much everybody that I wanted. I mean, the top line continues to look really solid. We already mentioned the third line as well, and Casper looks really good, but just trying to, burst the pipe there. Edvinsson and Seider continue to look great at the top. Yeah.
And people are going to complain about the Seider drop pass in the Toronto game. That was a miscommunication. That's a set play, guys. Seider's supposed to take it up and then drop it back for a forward who's cutting back, and it was a miscommunication between the forwards and who was going to pick it up, which I hate, by the way. I hate that stupid little drop back they do to try and enter the zone. Seider has got the offensive capability to enter the zone on his own, and he does it all the time.
So-
and they continue to want to run this little drop, and that goes back to the Blashill era. I hated it then, I hate it now.
I think that the drop pass in that setting only works if it's like a play action, and like sometimes he doesn't drop pass. Like I think, like you know what? Because like you said, he has the ability to enter the zone.
So predictable.
Himself. Like I feel like it only really works if every once in a while you mix it up, and he holds, they runs the same route, for lack of a better term, and ends up just keeping the puck and not doing the drop. Like you can't just do the same thing every time. But anyway, the power play's far from the issue. Well, zone entry is an issue, so that I guess is fair. Anyway, yes, I think I agree with you.
Cider isn't the issue. That was a bad play, but that was a
Correct.
miscommunication between everyone on the ice that led to that empty net goal against. That's another thing too. Is man, they pull the goalie and they immediately get scored on every single time. It happened in both these games. What was the game? The last game against the Rangers in which that happened too, where the Kane shot went off the post and went all the way back down. If that's the game I'm remembering, either way, Datsyuk got inducted in the Hall of Fame. That was cool.
That was awesome, man. It was so cool to have that be, and I'm sure they did it on purpose, but like it was so cool for that to be a Wings game. Like Wings Leafs, like one of the most, storied rivalries in games that this sport has to offer. And you get to see the Magic Man out there. It was really cool. Not Bally. FanDuel Sports Network did a great job of showing a lot of like the old, like Datsyuk moments, and obviously the famous clip of him and Trevor Thompson playing one-on-one and whatnot. They showed that a couple of times. Like it was just really cool to take that trip down memory lane, because for people in our generation, like Pavel was our childhood, right? Like him and Z were that was the duo. So really awesome to see him get honored. He said, "I'm a lucky boy," which I thought was very on brand and kind of funny. So yeah, next stop will be him getting inducted, which is cool.
I like when he was asked in the intermission, they showed a little bit of like, "Oh, Pavel, what will you say at the speech?" He's like, "I'll tell you at the end. Thank you. Bye." And it's like, he's so funny. I love Datsyuk. Anyways, you guys know Datsyuk at this point is one of the greatest all-time Red Wings. 918 points, 953 games, two-time Cup winner, 02 and 08, four-time Lady Byng, three-time Selke, Hall of Fame. The only real question when it comes to Datsyuk and celebrating him is, when do we see his name in the rafters? Because I think now that he's in the Hall of Fame, like that's the final hurdle to getting your name retired.
The Wings don't do non-Hall of Famers for jersey retirements. Yeah,
like he spent his entire career with the Detroit Red Wings. He won two cups and was
he will.
Imperative.
It's just a matter of if that's going to be like a next season thing or if they'll wait a little bit. But yeah, he will at this point.
NHL named him as one of the 100 best players to ever play the game back when they did that in like 17. Yep. So I don't know. I don't know what we're waiting for. Maybe we were waiting for Zetterberg and they want to do it together. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
It would be cool. One last thing the Euro Twins do together.
Yeah.
Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Probably, I kind of want to break down some more encouraging statistics. We did that last week, but now after this weekend slate of games, some other statistics have become a lot more encouraging. So I kind of want to talk about that. We'll think of something else too. Because again, we got 3 more days off before the Wings play again. Thanks, NHL. Love the scheduling of 3 games in 4 days and then nothing for 3 days. Sick.
And then a back-to-back next weekend again. Super awesome.
Sweet. Thanks, NHL. We ball?
We do.
Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.